This is the highest concentration of British military in the closest proximity to the Iran war, just hundreds of miles east of Israel and the trajectory of missiles from Iran. The base came under attack shortly after the US-Israeli war on Iran was declared. A small drone made it through air defences and hit a hangar stroke facility within the base. We believe now that the drone was a small drone, but had it hit a room full of people, sources told me that would have meant a room full of casualties. So the base has been on very high alert since then. Minutes before we arrived this morning, there was a air raid siren alert and people took cover. There are thousands of British troops here. Their families have been evacuated. Perhaps 1,000 people moved to hotels. There is a tense atmosphere, but the British troops here are very, very professional, and they're concentrating on trying to track down any incoming. The difficulty with this small drone, which we now believe came from Hezbollah in Lebanon or pro-Iranian militia in Iraq, the difficulty with that was its size, very, very small, difficult to detect, and the fact that it was very close to the ground as it came over the horizon, so it was difficult to track. Defence Secretary John Healey, we're in RAF Akrotiri, where you've been reassuring troops that more help is on the way and that Britain is supporting what they're doing here. What's your message to our readers back home who are becoming increasingly worried about the crisis? It seems every day it worsens, and people are concerned about the eventual effect on perhaps the terror threat back home in the UK and the troops out here. Will there be boots on the ground in Iran? What can you say to them?
I mean, I really get the concerns of people back home. Many will have relatives or friends that may be in the wider Middle East. That's why my first priority is protecting British military lives, British bases and British allies like Cyprus, on the island of Cyprus here. But from here, we put in, weeks before this conflict started, extra air defences. You can see behind me some of the more than 400 extra British personnel that are here on Cyprus, defending not just this island and this base, but also lives, British allies in other parts of the Middle East. And we will do what we need to try and make sure that that level of protection deals with the increasingly indiscriminate strikes and attacks that we're seeing from Iran.
Are you able, we've heard about all the best case scenarios. Are you able to give us perhaps the worst ones? Could Britain become more involved in this war against Iran?
Well, I certainly won't speculate on scenarios that we might see. One of the natures of conflict is that you just never quite know how it develops. You've got to be ready to respond to changing circumstances, and we are. So we hugely strengthened air defences in this region, and especially on Cyprus in the weeks ahead of this conflict. Since then and today, I'm sending in 2 new anti-drone helicopters. They'll start arriving overnight. We've got specialist air defence planners, the best we've got, arriving in Cyprus today, and they'll start helping coordinate not just the British and American effort, but they'll help start coordinating the new support that some other allies are also putting in, Germany or France or Greece, arriving in these days ahead as well.
Thank you very much.